What's up, guys? It's Mr. Bringle, and today we're going to talk about calculating slope. So I have our note page open here, and we're going to kind of talk through this and talk about how to calculate slope. It's got the example on here for you, but I thought it'd be good for us to walk through it together. So the first thing that we're going to want to do when looking at a graph, trying to calculate the slope of the line, is we got to pick 2 points on the line. So I've kind of done an example over here of a graph distance and time, and then the green line is the slope of the graph, and then I've picked 2 points on it right here. So and it doesn't matter what the numbers are at this point, just showing that you need to pick 2 points on the graph. As long as it's a constant slope, any 2 points will work. Okay, and then we label the points 1 and points 2. You'll notice that I've labeled this x1 and y1 and x2 and y2, and that has to do with the x and y coordinates. So x1 would be the spot here on the x-axis, that's first, and then y1 would be the spot on the y-axis. X2 would be over here further along, and y2 is up here along the y-axis. So now we're going to need to put that into an equation, and the equation for slope is right here. The equation for slope is y2 minus y1, so that's referring to the second position on the y-axis minus the first position on the y-axis. So let's say the second position was 10 and the first position was 2. Then what we would be doing is y2 is 10 minus 2 would be our change in distance here. Okay, so this is just an example. It's not always going to be change in distance. It's just this graph right here would be change in distance. So that would be like saying, okay, at this point, the person, let's say it was a person that's walking, and they're at 2 meters, and then at this point, they're at 10 meters. So the change in their distance would be 8 meters, right? 10 minus 2. So then on the bottom, we're going to do x2 minus x1, which would be your position on the x-axis, the second position minus the first position. So in this case, it would be the time. So, let's say that it took the person, let's say the second was 12 seconds over here. That's what, at this position, when they got to 10 meters, it took them 12 seconds. And then over here, this was 3 seconds. So that would be 12 seconds minus 3 seconds, which would give us a 9-second change in time. Okay, so that's just an example. We obviously don't have concrete numbers here, but let's actually do an example where we do have numbers. So in this example here, and the work's shown below, but let's walk through it, and you'll have to forgive me because my stylus ran out of battery, so I'm using my fingers here. But in this example, we have the cost of gold, and let me scroll up just a little bit more here. Okay, so this is the cost of gold in dollars on the y-axis, and then the amount of gold in grams, okay, here on the x-axis. So it's already chosen 2 points for us. Now, we can choose any of these 2 points on this line. It does not matter. You could choose this one and this one. You could choose this one and this one. Doesn't matter which 2 points. I will say if it goes through 0, 0, okay, meaning that the line goes through the origin of this graph, I always use points 0, 0 because that makes your math really easy, right? That would be your x1 and y1 right here would both be 0. So that would make it very easy to do our calculations because you would be subtracting 0 on both sides. So if you have that option, that's usually the best option to use. But let's do one where we're not doing that in case the line does not go through 0, 0. So on this, we've chosen our first point over here as this would be x1, 2. So it's saying 2 grams. And then the y-axis is 98. So it's implying that 2 grams of gold costs $98. And then over here, 0.2 would be 12 grams of gold, and that costs $600. Okay, so in finding the slope, what we're going to be finding is the cost of gold per gram. Okay, so dollars per gram. So let's go ahead and do our calculation here. Remember that the equation is up here, right? So y2 minus y1. Well, remember that this, in fact, let me go ahead and zoom in just a little bit here. And let's go ahead and label these points here with X and Y. So remember that this over here is X1, and then this is going to be Y1. This is going to be X2. If I can write my 2 on here. Having trouble. You guys get the idea. And Y2. Okay. So now when we go to do our calculation, remember we want to do Y2 minus Y1. So I'll write this kind of larger over here. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Okay, so we'll go ahead and plug in 600 minus 98 over 12 minus 2. Okay, so now I'll change my color here. So 600 minus 98 is going to be 502. And 12 minus 2 is 10. Okay, so this is going to give us, this is telling us that there are 50 point, it won't let me do my point here. There we go, $50.2 over 10 grams. Okay, so, and then we can even simplify this, or I'm sorry, I apologize. This would just be $50.2 per gram. Okay, dollars per gram there, because 502 divided by 10 is 50.2. Okay, so that would be how we calculate the slope of this graph right here, $50.2 per gram. Okay, so it's just a quick tutorial on how to calculate slope. You're going to practice this with your concept builder, and there will also be a video for that. Let me know if you have any questions.